Thank you for inviting me to give this talk. This is a talk on the Lefschetz standard conjecture for hyperkähler manifolds, and even for Lagrangian cover the hyperkähler manifolds. But I want first to give a general introduction to the conjecture. So I start recalling the statement of the Hard-Lefschetz theorem, which says the following. Suppose that X is a smooth complex projective variety, which was a polarization, that is an ample line bundle, and you denote by L the first term class of H. And the Hard-Lefschetz theorem says that for any K non greater than the dimension of X, the Lefschetz operator of a cup product with L to the n minus K induce an isomorphism from the cohomology of degree K to the cohomology of degree 2n minus K of X with rational coefficient. So these two spaces are of the same dimension because they are Poincaré dual. So the Lefschetz operator is an isomorphism of Hodge structures because the class L is a Hodge class, rational of type 1, 1. And also the inverse, Ln minus K minus 1, which goes from cohomology of degree 2n minus K to cohomology of degree K. So now I make the following notation, that if I have a cohomology class on X cross X, then it will act on the cohomology of X by an operator that I denote by gamma upper star, and which is defined by gamma upper star eta is here 1 lower star of here 2 upper star eta cup gamma for any cohomology class eta on X. So the Lefschetz standard conjecture says the following. There exists a cycle which I denote by Z left, which is in a cycle of codimension K on the X cross X with Q coefficient, such that the action of the cohomology class of Z left is identified to this operator Ln minus K minus 1 from cohomology of degree 2n minus K to cohomology of degree K. So now this conjecture is implied by the Hodge conjecture by a simple formalism concerning Hodge classes and products and correspondences. The fact is that if you have a cohomology class of degree 2k on X cross X, so it induces for any I an action gamma upper star from Hi to Hi plus 2k minus 2n. And then it's a general fact which follows from the QNet decomposition on X cross X that gamma is a Hodge class if and only if all these linear maps gamma upper star are morphisms of Hodge structures. So now we have this morphism of Hodge structure Ln minus K minus 1, so it is only in degree 2n minus K. Then you consider a class which will act by 0 in the other degrees, and that will provide, by this observation, a degree 2k Hodge class gamma on X cross X. The Hodge conjecture predicts this class is algebraic. So predicts the Hard-Lefschetz theorem. So let me discuss the case of degree 1. So if k is equal to 1, then 2k is equal to 2. And of course, we know the Hodge conjecture in degree 2. This is the Lefschetz 1-1 theorem. So we can conclude immediately that there exists a divisor D left on X cross X with the property that with the Lefschetz property that D left upper star is the inverse of a product for the Lefschetz operator Ln minus 1. But the Lefschetz 1-1 theorem, it's a transcendental result, which it's not completely from inside algebraic geometry. So it's better in some sense to solve the Lefschetz standard conjecture directly in that case. And in fact, in that case, you can construct the Lefschetz cycle D left as a version of the Poincaré divisor. There are two abelian varieties associated to X, and namely the Albanese variety A and the Pic 0, the Picard variety B. And they are dual abelian varieties, and in fact, they are made isogenous by the choice of a polarization on X. Now, what you can do that, first of all, we know that there exists a universal divisor P on pic 0x cross X, or Carré divisor. It is universal in the sense that for any D in pic 0x, if you take the fiber PD, which is a divisor on X, you get exactly D itself. And what you can do now is that you can pull back to this Poincaré divisor to X cross X via F identity of X, which maps X cross X to pic 0x cross X. And here F, this is a composition of the Albanese map of X from X to Albanese of X, and the isogeny between Albanese of X and pic 0 of X given by the choice of polarization. And this way you can show you get DLF or rather a multiple of it. So this proves the Lefschetz standard conjecture in degree 1. And as a corollary, for example, we get that the Lefschetz standard conjecture is true for abelian varieties in any degree. And the proof is that for degree 1, we already know that has been done before. And for degree k, you use the DLF and you take its case self-intersection. And then you show that you show that it acts as you want on cohomology. So now what I want to discuss is well, my goal is to insist on the importance of this conjecture, especially for the theory of motifs, and also because it has in turn applications to the Hodge conjecture. So the main consequence of the Lefschetz standard conjecture can be stated as the fact that it implies that numerical equivalence and the homological equivalence coincide on a cycle. So let me explain that. If you consider a codimension K cycle on X, smooth projective of dimension L, we say that it is numerically equivalent to 0 if its intersection number with any cycle of complementary dimension is 0. So now suppose your X is over C and Z is cohomologous to 0. Then your cycle is numerically equivalent to 0 because all these intersection numbers, they can be computed as cohomological pairing. So you have this formula, and then if the class of Z is 0, the intersection number is 0. Okay. So the theorem is that if X satisfies the Lefschetz standard conjecture in all even degrees, a cycle is numerically equivalent to 0 on X if and only if its cohomology class is 0 in a rational cohomology. So we always, of course, have the implication, the only if, but the direct implication is what we have to prove. So we should note that an equivalent conclusion is the fact that the Poincaré pairing between cohomology of degree, the algebraic cohomology of degree 2k and algebraic cohomology of degree 2n minus 2k is perfect. So what I call algebraic cohomology is the Q vector space generated by cycle classes. And why this is equivalent is because to say that if you look at the definition, or maybe you have to use this formula, to say that Z is numerically equivalent to 0 is exactly to say that its cohomology class belongs to the kernel of the pairing between algebraic cohomology and algebraic cohomology of complementary degree. So, okay, so this is what we have to prove. So the argument is a bit heavy, but it's really very important. So let me sketch it. What implies the Lefschetz standard conjecture is that the Lefschetz operator acting on cohomology of degree 2k, Ln minus 2k, induces an isomorphism between H2K of XQ alg and H2n minus 2K of XQ alg. It's because the reason is that it is injective because the Lefschetz operator is injective on all the cohomology. But in fact, it's also surjective because it has a left inverse given by the Lefschetz standard conjecture. And the left inverse, it is given by the action of a cohomology of a cycle class of X cross X. So it preserves algebraic cohomology class. So we have the conclusion that all these Lefschetz isomorphisms, they preserve algebraic cohomology. And so we conclude from this that this is true in all even degrees. So we conclude that the cohomology, algebraic cohomology H2K of XQ alg is stable under the Lefschetz decomposition. So we get a formula like that, where here you get algebraic and primitive cohomology. And so now I come back. We want to show that the pairing between these two species is perfect. So it clearly suffices to prove the following claim that the Lefschetz pairing between the two classes in H2K of XQ, which is defined by this formula, that is Z prime Lefschetz is the integral over X of ln minus 2K Z product with Z prime, that this pairing is perfect on H2K of XQ alg. And where, of course, I assume that the 2K is not greater than n. And now this follows from the general Hodge-Riemann relations. Namely, we know very formal fact that the Lefschetz decomposition is orthogonal for this pairing. And on each term, that is a primitive, the primitive cohomology of a certain degree, the Lefschetz intersection pairing is definite non-degenerate on the space of real cohomology classes of degree k minus r, k minus r. And so now when you restrict a definite non-degenerate intersection pairing to a subspace, you get something which is still definite non-degenerate. And so that's a proof. So it's not so easy, but it's very important reasoning. So now there are consequences on the Hodge conjecture, which are in some sense very formal consequences of what was said before. So, for example, consider the situation where you have a morphism, I guess that could be as well a correspondence here, between y and x, which are both smooth and projective. And I assume that both x and y satisfy the Lefschetz standard conjecture. Now I choose a cycle Z on y, and I assume that its cohomology class comes from a cohomology class on x. And the conclusion is that then there exists a cycle Z prime on X such that Z is G upper star class of the class of Z is G upper star of class of Z prime. So this is a very strong statement that you have this cycle. You know that it can be extended. Its cohomology class can be extended. Then then it can be extended as a cycle class. And the proof is totally formal. You have the beta which is given here. Then this beta provides a linear form on algebraic cohomology of X of degree 2n minus 2k just by intersecting with beta. And then now the previous theorem for X, it said that linear forms on this space, they are provided by cycle classes on X, because X satisfies the Lefschetz standard conjecture. And so there exists a Z prime in CHK of X such that this linear form, it is given by intersecting with a cycle class on X. And then you have to show that the G upper star of this cycle class is the Z. And for this, you apply again this you just have to you apply again the previous theorem. Now on Y, to say that to check this equality, you just have to test this against cycles on Y, against the cohomology classes of cycles on Y. So that's completely a formal argument involving duality. A second very important statement, I write it as a corollary, but it's not completely formal. It says that the Lefschetz standard conjecture implies the variational Hodge conjecture. So this is saying the following: suppose that you have a smooth projective morphism. So that could be even in the analytic category. And assume that you have a global section, global of locally constant section of R2K F over star Q. And you assume that the class alpha B, so the cohomology class in the fibers, is a Hodge class on all fibers for any B in B. And at one point, the class alpha 0 is algebraic. Then, assuming the Lefschetz standard conjecture, and of course the B is connected, the class alpha B is algebraic for any B. So this is not completely the formal consequence of the previous statement, because that needs two big results in Hodge theory, namely the fact that the Hodge loci are algebraic. And the second fact is that this is to make the situation algebraic here, and the fact and also the global invariant cycles theorem of the line. And if you put this, then that becomes a consequence of the previous statement. Okay, and finally, a last consequence, which is also important, consequence which concerns the Hodge conjecture. When you have consider again your X, which is a smooth projective of dimension n, you get cohomology classes of degree 2n on X cross X as endomorphism, degree preserving endomorphism of the cohomology of X. So this is a 0, it's for degree preserving, so we have this equality by Q-net decomposition. So for each k, you can consider the identity of hk of xq, that is like the projector on cohomology of degree k. And because there are morphisms of Hodge structures, they provide Hodge classes on X cross X. So these Hodge classes are called the Q-net component of the diagonal. Of course, if you take the sum over k of all the delta k, you get the class of the diagonal. So it's an algebraic cohomology class, but the delta k individually are not known in general to be algebraic. And the theorem, which is not very hard, is that if X satisfies the Lefschetz standard conjecture, the Q-net components of the diagonal of X are algebraic. Okay, so now let me go further and explain what is known. Now I am going to focus on the case of the Lefschetz standard conjecture for degree 2 cohomology. First of all, there is a general criterion which has the interest of being independent of the choice of polarization for X to satisfy the Lefschetz standard conjecture of the degree 2. This is can be found in the paper by François Charles. It says that X satisfies the Lefschetz standard conjecture in degree 2 if and only if there exists a surface S, a smooth projective surface, and the correspondence of the codimension 2, so zero correspondence, like morphism, something which has the same dimension as X, correspondence between X and S, such that if you take the cohomology class of Z and look at the morphism Z upper star from cohomology of S to cohomology of X, it induces a surjective map on the 2-0 part. So then automatically it will induce a surjective map on the transcendental cohomology, and the rest you don't care very much because it's an Néron-Severi group. So, an example is the case of the Hilbert scheme of surface. Suppose that S is a smooth projective surface, then the Hilbert scheme of endpoints Sn satisfies the Lefschetz standard conjecture in degree 2 because precisely we have the incidence correspondence in S n cross S. And it is well known that the incidence correspondence induces a surjective map like that. Another application is that that will concern all these hyperkähler manifolds that have been constructed starting from a cubic fourfold. So let Y be a smooth cubic fourfold. Let X be one of the hyperkähler manifolds. So I start with the Deauville-Donadier, Lehn-Zorger Stratton, Lazar-Sakar-Voisin, and the six source constructions of Bayer, Lahoz, Macri, Nuer, Pierre-Stellari. So there are many hyperkähler manifolds associated to Y. Then all these X satisfy the Lefschetz standard conjecture in degree 2, and the proof is the fact is given by the fact that these varieties admit a natural or more or less natural correspondence to the cubic correspondence Z. So it's a correspondence of codimension tree. That means that morally the X parameterized the one cycles on the cubic. And this correspondence is such that if you take the cohomology class of Z, then Z upper star from H31 of Y to H20 of X is surjective. And on the other hand, we know that there is a surface S and a correspondence gamma. Again, a codimension tree correspondence, that is the S parameter has one cycle in gamma, such that gamma upper star from H20 of S to H31 of X is surjective. That follows from, well, you can do it explicitly using the variety of lines, or you can use Bloch-Srinivas. And then you apply, sorry. Sorry. And then you apply the criterion given by this theorem to the composition gamma composed with Z. Okay. And the last statement that I wanted to mention, which is maybe the most general statement that the general result that we have on the Lefschetz standard conjecture in the hyperkähler setting, namely, this is due to Charles and Markman, hyperkähler manifold, projective hyperkähler manifold, which is deformation equivalent to the Hilbert scheme of a K-tree surface, or deformation equivalent to a generalized Kummer variety associated to an abelian surface, satisfies the Lefschetz standard conjecture in all degrees. So this is definitely not easy, because basically they start from the case of Sn itself, and then they apply a deformation argument, but it's very hard because well, you know that when you take general projective deformation of Sn, you lose the K-tree surface. So the deformation argument is hard in this case, and it uses the machinery of Verbitsky. So now I would like to discuss Lagrangian fiber and varieties, Lagrangian fibration on a hyperkähler manifold. So I recall the first or main result of Matsushita. Assume that X is a hyperkähler, and the phi is a dominant morphism from X to some variety Y, which is of dimension, of positive dimension, strictly smaller than the dimension of X. Then the conclusion is that the dimension of Y is N, and phi is a Lagrangian fibration. That means that the fibers are Lagrangian subvarieties of X, singular Lagrangian subvarieties. And furthermore, a phi upper star of the cohomology of degree 2 of Y has a rank 1, and it is generated by the first student class of line bundle L. And the last point is that this class L, which is called the Lagrangian class of the Fibor-Tree function, of course, it might be defined multiple coefficient. This class is isotropic for the Bovil-Bogomolov quadratic form, Q of L equal to 0. So the next definition I want to make is that of the birational Kähler cone. It is defined as the union of the Kähler cones of all hyperkähler manifolds X prime, which are bimeromorphic to X. So what we use in that definition is that if you have a birational map between two hyperkähler manifolds, it induces a natural isomorphism between the H2. So the isomorphism, you just take the graph of your rational map, take its cohomology class, and then the cohomology class induces a gamma upper star. So certainly you have a natural map, but it is a natural isomorphism. Okay, so now the conjecture, which is fundamental for the geometry of hyperkähler manifold, I call it SYZ conjecture for the Strominger-Yau-Zaslow. It might be a version of a conjecture due to Strominger-Yau-Zaslow. Says that suppose that you have a class in the Néron-Severi group of hyperkähler manifold, maybe projective hyperkähler manifold. I don't know if you can make this conjecture in the general Kähler case. And so suppose that it satisfies Q of L equals 0, like for the Lagrangian class, and furthermore that it belongs to the boundary of the birational Kähler cone. Then there exists X prime, which is a hyperkähler manifold birational to X, such that L is a Lagrangian class on X prime. So that is, it is induced by a Lagrangian fibration on X prime. So there is a beautiful result due to Weibrecht, which involves his deformation versus birational equivalence for hyperkähler manifolds, and also his characterization of the Kähler cone of hyperkähler manifold. So it says the following. So suppose that you have your X and you have a L in the Néron-Severi group of X with a Q of L equals 0. Then there is a self-correspondence of X, so something with CH2N of X cross X, such that if you consider the action, so the action of the cohomology class of R on the cohomology of X, it gives a ring automorphism of the cohomology. So more generally, in the projective setting, that gives an automorphism of the Chow ring. And furthermore, R upper star of plus or minus L belongs to the boundary of the birational Kähler cone of X. Okay, so now let me speak about the result I wanted to present in this talk. That concerns the Lefschetz standard conjecture for Lagrangian fibered hyperkähler manifold. So let X be hyperkähler projective, admitting a Lagrangian fibration. And I assume that the Picard number of X is 2. So 2 is a minimal number because X is projective, so there is an ample class, but also X is admits the Lagrangian fibration, so it admits the Lagrangian class. And so there are two cases where I can prove the Lefschetz standard conjecture in degree 2. Either so the case where X satisfies the SYZ conjecture, or by this I mean any bimeromorphic model of X satisfies the SYZ conjecture. Or the second case is when there exists an effective divisor theta on X with Q of theta negative. In both cases, I can conclude that X satisfies the Lefschetz standard conjecture in degree 2, for degree 2 cohomology. So let me explain the geometric construction and the idea of the proof. So we have the Lagrangian fibration P from X to B, and the smooth fibers of P, as in the case of general Lagrangian fibration, are abelian varieties. So now the abelian varieties of dimension n, they contain many interesting subvarieties of dimension n-1, namely you choose a divisor D on X, which is ample on the fibers, you restrict your divisor D to the fibers, and then you have all the translates du in the fibers of P. And they are essentially parameterized by X itself. It's not completely true. So for a given fiber, the XB, these varieties will be parameterized by the Albanese variety of XB, which can be used to translate the divisors on XB. But, so the fibers XB, they are not canonically isomorphic to their Albanese variety, but once you have a multisection, your X is projective, so there is a multisection, you can construct an isogeny, natural isogeny between the fiber and their Albanese variety. And so the conclusion is that this family of subvarieties of dimension n-1 of X provides a cycle of codimension n+1 in X cross X. This is the family of all these cycles. And then on compute the action, of course, it's not what we want. We want a cycle of codimension 2. On can compute the action of this cycle, and there is the following lemma that if you consider gamma upper star of H2n-2 sigma x, so the H is the divisor, ample divisors that we started with, then this gamma upper star H2n-2 sigma x is lambda Ln-1 sigma x, and here the important fact is that the lambda is different from 0. Okay. Now, as I said, the rho of X is equal to 2, so the Néron-Severi group tensor Q, it's a Q square, and the quadratic, the Bovil-Bogomolov quadratic form, it is of course of signature 1,1, and so there is another isotropic class L prime, not proportional to L, and we know that Q of L prime is different from 0. Now, assume that this second class L prime is also Lagrangian. So there is, it means that there will be a second Lagrangian fibration X to B prime with associated Lagrangian class L prime. Then we apply the same construction and same lemma. We get gamma prime, which satisfies the properties that gamma prime upper star of H2n-2 sigma x now is L prime to the n-1 sigma x. Here, the gamma upper star is the same as the gamma lower star because the cycles are in fact chosen symmetric. And we construct now a cycle of codimension 2 on X cross X, which is obtained as a composition of both gamma proposed with gamma prime. So what it means is that we want cycles of codimension 2 on X. Now what we have is cycles of dimension n-1. But then we have these cycles of dimension n-1 in the fibers of the first fibration, and then we can attach to them all cycles of dimension n-1 in in the fibers of the second Lagrangian fibration. And when we take this union, we get something of dimension 2n minus 2. These are the cycles that we are considering. And so we have this cycle Z, and has the following claim that Z upper star H2n minus 2 sigma x is mu times sigma x, and then the important point is the fact that the mu, the coefficient mu, is non-zero. So clearly, the left-hand side is a class of type 2, 0, so certainly it is proportional to mu. So the important statement is the fact that the mu is not 0. And the proof is simply by a computation. We want that to show that the mu is non-zero. So we are going to integrate, to take the Poincaré intersection pairing of this class with the class H2n minus 2 sigma x bar. Now we write this form, so that gives you by a duality, that gives this intersection pairing between gamma upper star and T gamma prime upper star of H2n minus 2 sigma x bar. And then we apply this property and this one to conclude that you get lambda prime, which is not 0. And then you have this the intersection number between these two classes, and this is easily shown to be non-zero by applying the Fujiki relation, for example. And so this case is finished. But now there are plenty of, well, of course, this case is an ideal case, but it's maybe not true in general. So when L prime is not a Lagrangian class, is of course where I need some of these assumptions. The idea is that so I am going to use this Weierstrass theorem here. So suppose that the class L prime is not Lagrangian, then using this theorem by Weierstrass, I can find the self-correspondence of X, which transform L prime in any case into a class, a Lagrangian class, no, sorry, a isotropic class, which is in the birational Kähler code. So if X satisfies the SOYZ conjecture, then this new class is Lagrangian on another bimeromorphic hyperkähler manifold. So then I can basically do the same. And in the second case, it turns out that L prime, this implies that the L prime is not itself in the birational, the boundary of the birational Kähler cone. And so when I apply this operator of Weierstrass R, what I get is necessarily proportional to L. And so, and the conclusion is that I can apply what I had for L before. So well, that's the way I deal with the remaining case. Okay, so now I want to discuss Lagrangian, the case of Lagrangian covered hyperkähler manifold. So the general definition is that Lagrangian covering of X, or covering by Lagrangian varieties. So it's a data of a dominant map, phi, two dominant maps, phi and psi, from gamma to X and from gamma to B. I can assume here that gamma is a smooth projective if I want. And such that if I consider the restriction of phi to the general fiber gamma B is phi minus 1 of B, what I get is for the normalization of a Lagrangian singular subvariety of X. Of course, for a general point B in B. So it's simply a family of Lagrangian subvarieties, normalized or desingularized in X, which has to cover X. So my X, let X be projective, very general Lagrangian covered fourfold with rho of X equal 1. Then X satisfies the Lefschetz standard conjecture in degree 2. Here, the assumption is that my X has a rho of X equal 1. I take its polarized deformation. The number is 1, so I have this moduli space of polarized deformation of X, and I want that I take an X which is very general in this polarized moduli space. And of course, it will have this Lagrangian covering. So what the interest of this statement, it is maybe more specific than the other one concerning Lagrangian fibered varieties, but in fact, in some sense, it's more general because the point is that the assumption could be quite general. The problem with Lagrangian fibered varieties is that by definition, they have a rho at least 2 in the projective case. That what was explained. But in contrast, there are many examples where we have a covering by Lagrangian subvarieties, Lagrangian covering, while the Picard number is 1. One example is the case of the Fano variety of lines of a cubic fourfold. Why? So in that case, you can consider the smooth hyperplane sections of Y. So they are cubic trifolds, and their surfaces of lines they are easily shown to be Lagrangian surfaces in f of Y. So this and the very general one has a Picard number 1. And it was asked by O'Grady if possibly, this is a general situation. So let X be a projective hyperkähler manifold. Those X admit covering by Lagrangian varieties or Lagrangian covering. So let me sketch the proof. We have this family of Lagrangian surfaces, which both deformations cover X. And the first step is that before we using these surfaces, these Lagrangian surfaces, we have interesting curves in X because the peak zero of these surfaces is necessarily non-trivial. This is due to the fact that when you have a Lagrangian subvariety, its normal bundle is isomorphic to its cotangent bundle. Now, if the deformation of your Lagrangian variety cover X, that means that the normal bundle is globally generated, and so that means that the cotangent bundle is globally generated. And so the Albanese variety, the way to see it, that the Albanese map is generically finite to its image, and so the peak zero, in that case, we have a dimension so we have this curve exactly as before. We had these abelian fibers which were abelian varieties, and we took a translate of a divisor, but here it's slightly more general. And in case we have interesting curves. So that gives a codimension tree cycle in X cross X constructed from curves in these surfaces. And now we look at the action of this correspondence on H square sigma X. I have here the Picard number is 1, so I have only one polarization. So I get something which is certainly in H31 of X, but H31 of X, it is sigma X wedge the cup H11 of X, the standard fact. Now, because X is very general, you have to say something about the Memfortet group of the X, but the conclusion is that the only possibility is that this gamma upper star of H2 sigma x is proportional to H sigma x. And now, if mu is different from 0, we conclude exactly as before. Simply, we are going to compose gamma with itself. That will give now a cycle of codimension 2 on X, and it will have the right action on the desired Lefschetz action on H square sigma X. And now the painful case is when mu is equal to 0. But then what we can do is that so it's a very it's a little surprising if mu is equal to 0. It turns out that the original family of Lagrangian surface with a base that I can choose to be a surface can be used to solve directly the Lefschetz standard conjecture. So that's a technical detail. So that's the structure of the proof. So maybe I wanted to finish quickly with some suggestions that in the case of hyperkähler manifold, there is much more to say around the Lefschetz standard conjecture, because I believe that, well, or experimentally, I believe that hyperkähler manifold could have what I call the surface decomposition. Surface decomposition that will be the data of a correspondence between X and the product of surfaces, S1 cross Sn. Here, everything will have dimension 2n, X, gamma, and S1 cross Sn. So the two maps of phi and C are generically finite dominant. With the property that if you consider holomorphic two form on X, you pull it back to gamma. It is the same as taking the pullback phi upper star of two form on Si1 cross Sn, which is the sum of Pi upper star of zero form on Si. So the Lefschetz standard conjecture predicts a structure which is in some sense similar to this one, but not exactly the same. Namely, it predicts the existence of a gamma dominating X and mapping to a product of surfaces in such a way that this formula holds, but with not a constraint that you have exactly the number n of surfaces. That is what is specific here, that the three varieties, X, gamma, and S1 cross Sn, have dimension 2n. And the reason is that the Lefschetz standard conjecture, as I explained, predicts the existence of a correspondence that you can assume to be effective, codimension 2 in X cross S, with the property that sigma, the 2-0 form sigma X is P lower star, Q upper star of sigma S, where the P and Q are the projection of gamma to X and S. And now, such a correspondence, we can see this as a multi-valued map from X to S. We can see this as a rational map from X to S, to the Hilbert scheme S to the N, with the property that sigma X is F upper star of sigma S to the N. And on the other hand, if you take the pullback of sigma S to the N to S cross S, this should be the same Si for S to the N, you get sigma over I of Pi upper star of sigma S. So you see that the Lefschetz standard conjecture is predicting something which is close to a surface decomposition, except that we do not have the right number of factors here. And indeed, when there is a surface decomposition, there is an extra information, namely, if X has a surface decomposition, there exists quadratic forms Qi on H2 of XQ, the transcendental cohomology, such that, and here I get a formula which is close to the Fujiki formula for the top intersection pairing on the cohomology of degree 2 of a hyperkähler manifold, namely sum over X of alpha to the 2n equal Q1 of alpha to Qn of alpha. And that proposition comes from the fact that it's just a computation. You consider this situation, you apply the fact that you have a generically finite map, so they allow to compare the intersection, the top self-intersection pairing. So you call L n the degree of t and m the degree of phi. You find that m times sum over x of alpha to the 2n. This is the sum over gamma of c plus alpha to the 2n. And now you apply this formula to compute that it is n times the sum over Sn1 cross Sn of this form. And you find finally mu times, and we take the product of the intersection numbers of alpha 1 on S1 and 2 alpha n on Sn. Okay, so that's the difference, and that is a sort of extra structure compared to the Lefschetz standard conjecture.